Nobody planned it. Nobody predicted it. An 8-year-old German Shepherd walked into an enclosure with 2 lion cubs, and within minutes, she was nursing them like they were her own. The cubs didn't flinch. Sandra didn't hesitate. And every person watching stood completely still, afraid that if they moved, they might break the spell. It began on a warm September morning at White Lion Sanctuary, a quiet, tucked-away place where animals came to be safe, to be cared for, and to heal. That morning, a lioness named Sharona gave birth to 2 cubs, a boy and a girl, small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, their eyes still sealed shut against the world. Under any other circumstances, the sanctuary would have erupted in celebration. The staff had been counting down to this day for months, but from the very first hour, something felt off. Sharona had not always known the peace of sanctuary life. She had arrived at White Lion after a difficult chapter in the Wild One that had left marks, not just on her body, but somewhere deeper. The staff had spent months earning her trust, and she had come a long way. But trust, once broken by the world, takes time to fully return. When her cubs arrived, Sharona simply didn't know what to do with them. She didn't reject them out of cruelty. She was just lost, uncertain, unable to find, in that moment, the instinct that should have come naturally. The staff gave her time. A full day passed, then another, then a third. They watched quietly, hopefully, giving Sharona every opportunity to find her way to her cubs on her own terms. By the 4th morning, the veterinary team made a gentle but urgent call. The cubs needed more than hope could provide. They were small, they were hungry, and they needed help now. The team stepped in with warmth, care, and specially formulated bottles of high-nutrient milk. They fed the cubs every few hours, through the day and through the night. Within days, the little ones were brighter, steadier, and growing stronger. The immediate worry lifted. But the team knew something important. Formula could sustain these cubs. It could keep them alive and growing. What it couldn't give them was everything else. The warmth of a body close to theirs, the comfort of a heartbeat nearby, the rich and irreplaceable nutrition of real mother's milk. For lion cubs to truly thrive, to grow into the strong, graceful animals they were born to be, they needed more than a bottle. They needed a mother. The sanctuary put the word out quietly, and that's when Sandra's family called. Sandra was 8 years old, calm by nature and generous in spirit. She had recently given birth to a litter of her own and was still nursing her body full of exactly the kind of rich, nourishing milk that the cubs so desperately needed. Her family had heard about the situation at the sanctuary and didn't hesitate. If Sandra could help, Sandra would go. The veterinary team welcomed her with cautious optimism. Dog's milk, they knew, is remarkably well suited to the early development of many young animals. It carries the right balance of fats, proteins, and immune-building properties that small, growing bodies need. The science was encouraging, but science only goes so far. The real question was simpler and more human than any formula. Would Sandra accept them? Would she look at 2 creatures that smelled different, sounded different, and were unmistakably not her own and choose to love them anyway? On the morning Sandra arrived at the sanctuary, the entire staff seemed to hold a collective breath. She was led gently into the enclosure where the cubs were resting together on a soft blanket, their tiny paws tucked beneath them, their small chests rising and falling in the easy rhythm of sleep. Sandra approached slowly. She lowered her head. She sniffed carefully first one cub, then the other. A long, quiet moment passed. And then, with the kind of ease that made everyone watching exhale all at once, Sandra simply lay down beside them. No hesitation, no uncertainty. She curved her warm body around the cubs the way a mother does instinctively, completely, and the cubs, as if they had always known her, nestled right in. Within minutes, they were nursing. The sanctuary director, a man who had dedicated decades of his life to animals, turned away for a moment to compose himself. Several staff members didn't bother trying. The tears came freely, and nobody was embarrassed about it. In that enclosure, on an ordinary morning that had just become extraordinary, a German Shepherd became a mother to 2 lions. What unfolded over the following weeks was the kind of story that reminds you why the natural world never stops surprising us. Sandra settled into her role with a confidence and tenderness that astonished everyone around her. She nursed the cubs alongside her own pup, who, with admirable open-mindedness, accepted his 2 oversized siblings without complaint. She cleaned the cubs every day with long, careful strokes of her tongue, the same way she cared for her own young. It was affection, yes, but it was also protection. That daily grooming kept the cubs clean, stimulated their circulation, and guarded their health in ways that no bottle or blanket could replicate. She kept them warm through cool nights, her large body wrapped around them like a living blanket. She was present in the complete, unhurried way that only a truly devoted mother can be. The female cub, who had started life as the smaller and more fragile of the two, was the one the team watched most closely. In her earliest days, she had lagged behind her brother, slower to gain weight, slower to grow. But under Sandra's steady, attentive care, something wonderful began to happen. Week by week, the gap between the two cubs quietly closed. The little female grew stronger, more energetic, more curious. She caught up to her brother, and then, with the competitive spirit of a born lioness, she occasionally overtook him. The team supplemented Sandra's milk with specially prepared formula as the cubs grew larger and their appetites expanded. Sandra, who had once raised 8 of her own puppies, handled 2 lion cubs with characteristic calm. She was more than equal to the task. But time moves quickly when life is full of joy, and the cubs grew faster than anyone quite expected. Their playful tumbles became louder, their paws became wider and heavier. The sounds they made deepened from soft mews into something that made the walls of the enclosure hum. They were becoming, unmistakably, lions. For Sandra's comfort and safety, the day eventually came to say goodbye. The cubs were moved to a larger, purpose-built enclosure designed for animals of their size and strength. Sandra was lovingly returned to her family. The sanctuary staff gathered to see her off, grateful beyond words for everything this remarkable dog had given. 2 years passed. The cubs were lions now, fully, magnificently, undeniably. The male had grown broad and heavy, his mane filling in around a face that radiated quiet authority. The female was sleek and sharp-eyed, graceful in every movement, carrying herself with a confidence that made it hard to believe she had once been the small, fragile cub fighting to keep up with her brother. The sanctuary director reached out to Sandra's family with an invitation. "Come back. Come and see what you helped build." When Sandra arrived at the sanctuary that day, she moved toward the enclosure with her familiar, easy stride. Older now, a little slower, but carrying herself with the same steady warmth she always had. The lions were visible behind the fence, watching her approach with the still, focused attention of animals who miss nothing. Sandra reached the fence. She looked up at them, and then her tail began to wag. The lioness moved first, slow and deliberate, the way lions always move when they are paying close attention to something that matters. She lowered her great head toward the fence. She sniffed, long and careful, reading every detail Sandra's scent had to offer. Then something shifted, something gentle and unmistakable. She pressed her face softly against the fence. The male lion followed, unhurried, unbothered by the small crowd of staff watching from a respectful distance. He walked to the fence where Sandra stood, and he pressed the full warm weight of his body against it, rubbing slowly, the way lions do when they are saying something that has no words. And then he lay down beside her, separated only by the fence between them. Sandra, trembling with something that looked very much like joy, reached her nose through the gap and began to lick him. She remembered. They remembered. Across 2 years, and a distance that should, by every rule of nature, have erased whatever bond they once shared, they remembered each other completely. Every staff member watching smiled through tears, because this was not just a reunion. It was proof of something that no scientific paper can fully capture, that love, when it is real, does not follow rules. It does not check whether you are the same species. It does not ask whether it makes sense. It simply shows up, lays down beside you, and stays. Sandra did that for 2 lion cubs who needed a mother, and 2 lions, standing now in the full golden power of everything they were born to be, made sure the world knew they had never forgotten. If this story warmed your heart, leave a comment below. We read every single one. Subscribe for more stories that remind us what love really looks like. See you in the next one.